Space show, quarantine time, excellent.
On this computer. Oh boy. Sorry. All right, I'm ready. I'm Anthony Crimmins.
I'm Kyle Saunders. This is the Stickstar Space Show.
That's right, Kyle. It sure is the Stickstar Space Show. And today we're joined by St. Bonaventure assistant coach Nico Capron. Coach, how are we doing today?
I'm doing well, guys. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really big honor to be here and just excited to talk to you guys about stuff and talk to other people.
Yeah, that's important. Coach Capron is at St. Bonaventure, and it's on the southern tier.
Yeah,
I've heard. Yeah, talk to us about the southern tier.
Southern tier, it's pretty much the portion of New York that runs right along that Pennsylvania border. So really any of the towns and cities that fall along Interstate 86, it's the Southern Tier Expressway. So thinking from Binghamton all the way to Jamestown on the westernmost side. So we're a beautiful area situated in the enchanted mountains of the Allegheny, and we're about an hour and a half south of Buffalo. So I think we're in a beautiful spot.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Sounds like it. Coach, how'd you end up there? Can you give us a little bit of background on yourself from a lacrosse standpoint, and how long you've been at St. Bonaventure, kind of what your path has been to where you're at now and what the role is with the program?
Yeah, so I'm originally from North Carolina, and I think I was at a time where North Carolina lacrosse was still up and coming, and even after I graduated in high school in '08, it was still technically a club sport, so it wasn't even deemed varsity status. So I went through the recruiting process and wanted to go somewhere different. So I ended up at Canisius College under Coach Randy Mearns, an awesome guy who's helped guide me throughout my career as a coach. And so after I did my 4 years there, I did a year in England at Durham University. I was pursuing my master's degree in international business management, and that was just a great opportunity it was my version of a gap year to go get my master's degree, play some lacrosse, and just continue that. And then I came back, really got my foot in the door in coaching at the collegiate level at Queen's University in 2015 with Coach Jim Fritz. And that was just, hey, I'm a local guy. I really want to do this. And so it was completely volunteer status, just for the love of the game than anything else. And then at the end of the year, I had the opportunity to get a position at St. Joseph's University as a volunteer. So I think it's the moral of the story with that position was that Taylor Ray was actually the old assistant coach at Queen's University under Jim Fritz. And during his time in Charlotte had been one of my club coaches. And so because I had left such a good impression and he had known me from that was kind of what gave me the edge in that process. So I think it was a great lesson is just, everything's an interview. I didn't even realize that when I was a high school player, had I been a little more unruly or maybe didn't listen to him as much, probably would have been a deciding factor in that. So got to do my year there for him. And then after that, I was at Holy Cross, College of the Holy Cross for 2 years, 17 and 18. And I was the defensive coordinator there. And then I went to Colby College for a year. I was the defensive coordinator there, and then just got some really good experience in the NESCAC and just Division III. But then after that year, it was like, what? My fiance is from Western New York. Want to get her closer to her family because something she holds really truly dear to herself. And so, in conversation with Coach Mearns, who was actually my college coach now at St. Bonaventure, he's like, "I'd love to have you on. Let's see if we can make this work." And so, never had been to St. Bonaventure before because they hadn't had lacrosse, and stepped foot on campus. Did the tour, and at the end of it, we both sat in the car and said, "What do you think?" And she's like, "Well, I'm waiting for you to say something." So we ended up completely agreeing on it, and it's been perfect ever since. Coach Connors, our other assistant coach and our now offensive coordinator, has been, an incredible guy to sit there in the office and talk to and just learn from. Same thing with Coach Mearns. So, the entire staff has been completely welcoming, and I think we're reveling in the fact that we get to build a Division I program from the ground up, which has been really, really cool. So it's been awesome so far. Just finished year one, so I'm excited for years 2 and onward.
Right. What's everyday life looking for you guys what's it looking like up there for you right now? I mean, from a lacrosse standpoint, excuse me, what do you have going on?
Really, I mean, it's the biggest thing right now, I would say, with what we're doing is obviously maintaining relationships with prospective student athletes. I think we've got our 2020s already committed, some 21s committed, and we're still evaluating that class very heavily. And then just getting, I think projections on 22s and 23s going forward for when we're able to have those conversations down the line. So I think it's just us trying to maximize what we can in this time, but even more importantly, it's just focusing on the guys on our team right now. It's been, everybody says this whole situation is unprecedented, it's never seen before. Well, I think the thing that we can control is obviously making sure that our guys are comfortable throughout this whole transition online. That's been big because, I'm more of like a hands-on visual learner. And so I can kind of relate to what some of our guys are going through in that sense. And then, so we're checking in on obviously them to make sure the transition's been good and saying, hey, how have your teachers been handling this as well? Are they making themselves available? Is it, are you working with a, professor who's maybe on the, the older end of the spectrum, who maybe has never been in this situation before? Have they been accommodating for you guys? And are you understanding that this is probably really uncomfortable for them too? So I think it's the checking in the academics, and then really the mental health aspect of all this too. I think there's, nowadays mental illness is, I think, a lot more prevalent just because of social media and everything like that. But, some of our guys may have anxiety or, depression that they've never really even mentioned. And so now we're in a situation where everybody is isolated even further. So I think it's been great for us to have bi-weekly meetings. We have meetings on Mondays and Fridays. So we try and bookend the week. Mondays, it's, hey guys, over the course of the weekend, these are some things that we got from the administration, or some answers that we may have to questions you had from last week. And then Friday, it's, hey, has everybody checked in with our athletic academic advisor, Joel? Any troubles in the classroom? How's everybody doing? And so we do those 2 team meetings, and then we also do individual meetings of, hey, how are classes going? How are they really going? Are you being honest? All that kind of stuff. So I think it's, as we go through this, the biggest endorphin releases that I've gotten, they're not just from exercise and stuff, but just getting to see our players and, getting to see, maybe getting them to laugh and just kind of relax a little bit, or getting to talk to friends and family that I haven't talked to in a really long time. So it's, I guess, reestablishing those connections. So those have been, the big stuff that we've been doing. It's just, as we start drawing near to the end of the semester, it's all right, trying to get them to focus more on the academics. And I think, we've been really trying to push the envelope of, see this as a 6 or 7 month train camp. I think we don't really see, no one has the exact answer of when this whole thing is going to blow over, or really how it's going to change society. But what we control is our preparation now. And so I think that's something to look forward to for the fall time, is just all the work you can put in now.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a tremendous message, is what can you control now, which is, there's actually a lot more than you may initially think when you kind of spend some time and delve into that subject. On a more personal level, Coach, you picking up any hobbies, or picking up any old hobbies that you've kind of had to put away for a minute, reading any good books? How are you spending the personal time?
Yeah, so I guess I would give a shout out to Justin Ward and a couple other coaches that I've been, having conversations with, just checking in with each other, because Ward has been great about reaching out and saying, what are you reading? What are we doing? And I think it's also almost like an accountability check from another coach. It's been really cool, because he and I have always thrown a lot of different ideas at each other. But right now I'm actually reading a book by Robin Dreeke. It's called The Code of Trust. And so Robin was, former FBI or intelligence operations, had some experience in the Marine Corps. But basically the spiel of the book is to inspire trust, put others first. And so how do you gain trust from others? How do you lose it? What are the ways that he's done? And it's really from more of an intelligence side of things, of, crafting an encounter with someone. What are the things that you talk about, and really trying to put their, opinions and notions first. And so it's obviously talking about organizational leadership and things like that. But when you think of sports and even lacrosse, it's great because, It's trying to align the goals of yourself and others to have like this ultimate common goal, which I think has been pretty cool. So I've been flipping through that one, and it's been, I'm trying to stick to the rule of 10 pages a day just to keep myself going at a decent pace. And some days, I read more than others, but it's not like I sit there and I'm like, oh man, 350 pages. God, I gotta chip away at this. If I just do the incremental goals, it helps a lot more. And then after that, I've got Legacy by James Kerr, which I've been recommended by numerous guys. It's about the New Zealand All Blacks and their culture and all the tenets of their program. So I'm excited to read that one too. But outside of the books, I've always loved cooking. We'll try and I think we'll always try and like delve into something different. I love pasta, rice dishes, stir fries, and all that kind of stuff. But I think the one, I guess, saving grace with that has been like, we'll just go into our fridge, look at, whatever we have in there. If it's kale, chicken, lemons, whatever, and then just type like 3 or 4 ingredients into Google and then see what recipes come up. All right, let's branch out. Let's try something different. So that's been good. And then I did a puzzle with my fiance a couple weeks ago, probably the first time in like 20 years. So it's been great. I think the puzzle and the mental game industry is really taking off throughout this whole thing.
Right.
Yeah, I understand. We've been playing a lot of cards over here.
Yeah.
Playing a lot of cards at my house, playing some darts.
There you go.
Puzzle hasn't come into the mix yet. We've been cooking quite a bit too. You like to mix it up in the kitchen. What's your favorite meal on quarantine so far? Let's hear it.
Oh man, favorite meal in quarantine. Like really, it's just like, because I don't have a grill, so I would say like baked chicken breast with like pasta and like sauteed veggies mixed in a little olive oil and like Parmesan cheese. Just, I don't know. We try and keep it something light and simple, nothing too complex. But my fiance even has like made a couple trays of cookies because she'll have like the flour and everything. She's like, I want to make cookies. Okay, well, twist my arm. I'll eat them.
Yeah, you have the flour. You might as well use them, right?
Exactly.
Use it, right?
Exactly. Well, I think it's, we're looking at everything in the house and saying, all right, well, what don't we want to go to waste? And so it's been just trying to use up as many of the groceries as we can, things in the cupboards. All right, well, we got a can of black beans. All right, how can we use that for dinner tonight? I think it's been good because we're forcing ourselves to get a little more creative with this stuff now that we have the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so with such an unexpected stop to the season, can you walk us through what the last 24 hours or the final couple of days kind of look like? How did you guys find out? Were you able to break it down with the team? Who broke the news? How did it all play out for you guys? Because every experience that we've heard has been just a little bit different.
Yeah, it was, I think you started seeing a little bit of the domino effect over social media, in the days leading up to it. And so we were actually set to, I want to say it was the weekend of March 15th or 16th was when they officially canceled the NCAA season, or at least for the majority of the conferences. So that was the week that we were preparing for Detroit Mercy. And so Thursday, and I can't remember the exact date, but that Thursday, less than 24 hours to us hopping on a bus to drive out to Detroit, we had a practice. And so we had been implementing some new things offensively and defensively, trying to, make sure that we were prepared for Detroit Mercy. It was a really good opponent. And so I remember it specifically, practice ending and then us going into the locker room. Hey guys, all right. It's Detroit, I think was, state of Michigan, I think, had some regulations going on. So we were like, all right, what's going on with this? And then I remember social media, I can't remember what account it was, but it tweeted it before we'd even had our athletic director or our staff aware of the situation of the season being canceled. So, it's one of the, I guess, the gift and the curse of social media is this access of information. But I just felt so bad because our seniors and these guys who have been putting in all this work just found out that their season was canceled by some secondary account that really didn't have any validity. But then, soon after it was kind of verified. So it left us with, I guess, a lack of closure. We wanted to have that final team meeting and say, hey guys, thanks so much for everything you put in this year. Sorry to hear of the whole situation going on at hand. We just want to let you know we care about you guys. We appreciate all your efforts. We're just going to take this one day at a time and see how everything develops. And we didn't really get that because I think, much like other NCAA teams, we have a number of Canadian guys on our roster. And so that day, if not the day after, we were getting notifications from our administration saying, hey, there's rumors of the border closing, so send your Canadian guys home. And so almost in 24, 48 hours, the campus was almost bare. I think after that initial weekend and then leading into the next week, we were down from 2,000 undergrads roughly to 50 or 60 on campus, just for extenuating circumstances. Either they're from a hot zone area like Italy or China where they couldn't go home, or just didn't have access of Wi-Fi or anything at their house where they're from. So it was certainly abrupt, but I think credit to the administration and just everybody in a position of power that's making these decisions, because I don't know if I would have been able to I guess easily make them as swiftly as they did. So it's something we've never been through before, but for everybody handling, I thought it was well done, as well as it could be,
Right. Well, what type of things are you guys doing with the team right now? We've heard a wide range of activities and meetings. It sounds like you guys are bookending the weeks,
Yep.
Zoom meetings, book assignments, one-on-one interviews. How does that break down?
So it's been the bookend weekly meetings are just getting the team together, and it's, hey guys, these are things that we've gotten from updates in the administration. And we actually meet as offense and defense after our Friday meetings of at least the last couple of weeks of now watching film, or really for me, now transitioning into a role as a defensive coordinator for St. Bonaventure. I've been working with our guys of just getting the packet in their hands of, all right, here's our terminology that we're going to be using for the coming year. The 4 pillars of our program, and then really taking those and saying, all right, well, with these 4 pillars of our defense, what do these mean to each and every one of you? And so for us, it's trust, discipline, communicate, and then throw hate. So it was like, obviously a little bit of the 4 pillars and the foundation of what we want to do, but what does trust mean to you guys? What does discipline mean to you guys? And so kind of breaking it down into trust was selflessness and integrity. Discipline was, accountability and really holding ourselves accountable, holding others accountable. What does that mean in different social situations? And so getting the guys now to think, I guess, flex the mental muscles a little bit more. And so now with film, it's even, hey, all right, here's one of our games from this year. Here's a game from maybe, another pair of teams that have played this year. What are some things that we noticed that they're doing? What are some things that we noticed that we could have done better or did really well that we want to, note guys on the defense doing? So I think it's just trying to be students of the game right now. And then for a number of our guys and during the individual meetings, it's been, how are your academics going? And then, occasionally they'll be like, hey coach, what can I be doing to, better myself and put myself in a better position come fall time? And so I think it's been great, because now with the defense, I've started a group me, message thread with all of them, trying to say, all right, let's not use this as strictly just a form of communication, but I want this to be a think tank. I want this to be, everybody to be empowered to at least throw an idea in here and see, it may not always be well received, but at least if you feel strongly about it, then put it in there. And so, we're almost at the point now where it has to be voluntary, activities where we can't require them to do lifts and everything. So I've seen a number of body weight routines that I've been doing myself. So I'll throw it in. Hey guys, I did this one in 45 minutes. Like who thinks they can beat me? Not saying that I'm like requiring them, but yeah, it's like, hey, maybe if I'm doing it, it inspires someone to try it out at their house too. And so I think that's been great, because, the second I throw something in, or one of our guys throws something in, it's, immediately like, guys are favoriting what they're saying, or, oh, hey, that reminded me of something I saw on Twitter, here, throw it in there. And so we're getting, I think the exercise we've been doing right now is just been trying to build a mission statement for our defense. What is the overarching mission for what we want to accomplish? Obviously tying into those previous pillars of the defense, but, I told my guys, like, hey, if you're looking to go into the business world, this is a really good exercise for you to do, because that's something you're going to have to understand once you work for a certain company. Every company has their own mission statement, their own core values, if you will. So now it's time, it's a good time to really sit here and be more internal, and I guess a little bit more reflective on like what these things mean to each of us.
Right. Do you think that this time, because when you are in the normal day-to-day grind of the season and the practices, do you think that certain pieces of how you prepare, like, because you said flexing the mental muscles, like, has it improved? Have you guys gotten better? Is this a more insightful look into, some of these things? Because, on the home front, right, I'm at the house all the time. So certain things around the house are so much better. You guys have to there's a unique approach that everyone is taking. So would you say that certain pieces have almost improved now that, there's this space and you have to do it different?
I think the quarantine has really forced people to adapt. And I think I mentioned it earlier with, like your older range of faculty members, people who have never, people who are used to either chalkboard or a whiteboard for getting all their stuff. Well, now this is a digital era that we're kind of transitioning into. And I think a product of this whole situation is going to be, really just a whole scale effect on society of how we operate, day to day, whether that's the realm of logistics, the realm of, organized sports. There may be limited time that we have with our teams face to face. So now this is something we have to utilize too. And so, even the first couple times of myself using Zoom or some of these platforms, it was incredibly awkward trying to figure out what to do and all this stuff. But I think the ability for us to do the screen sharing, for us to have the digital whiteboard and things like that, now we're able to, for those visual learners, all right, hey, here's film, but this is what I mean by this, or this is what I mean by this. So it's trying as best as we can to cater to everybody's learning styles within this, and really just getting out of our comfort zones with the technology. Because I think it's going to be a very big part of how we operate going forward. So why not get some very, very good practice with it now?
Perfect.
Yeah, with with this show, it's it's designed to kind of get the insight into you guys and your programs, but also just as a resource for our families and just high school players and parents that are going through the process of trying to find a home at the next level, whatever that level may be.
Yeah.
And wanted to kind of switch gears, get into the recruiting landscape a little bit, kind of this summer and beyond. First question is just kind of, with the NCAA saying, you get another year of eligibility, you're going to get that year back. Obviously, that's the overarching NCAA one, and then it comes down to kind of conferences and universities in general. I'm curious, what impact does that have kind of on your program specifically? Do your seniors know? Do you know who's coming back? Like, what's that impact been so far?
I think we wanted to get ahead of it as much as we could. And so we, gave it a little time, obviously, after the season had been ended, but we wanted to start having those conversations once we got more clarity from our administration on campus, and then really the NCAA as well. But I think we're in a unique situation being a newer Division I program that this year we only had 2 seniors, and both of which have made it known to us that they weren't planning on using that 5th year. I think right now they're either in their 5th year of undergrad or pursuing that master's degree. So it just didn't make sense to them. And I think, as we've been going through it, we're projecting for our junior class, which right now we only have 1 junior on the team. And then the sophomore class, which is our biggest class, and then freshman second behind that. So I think that we're definitely with a lot of youth, but I think it was good for us to have those initial conversations of, are you actually planning to use this 5th year? And then informing them of just all the different routes that they could go through, because, it's easy to look at it as, oh, I've been granted the 5th year, so I'll take it. Well, what are the factors that go into that? Does it make sense for you academically to to try and pursue a fifth year for bachelor's degree? Is that trying to get your master's degree? What are the financial factors that go into both? Because, that's something we just had to talk to our admissions team and our administration about, of like, what is allowable for these fifth year students. And so I think one of the big things was just the academic aid that goes away, because now you're technically a graduate student. So, does this make sense financially for your family to pursue this? Is the timing going to be right? Because, as much as I'd love guys to come back and do their fifth year, there are some situations where some of our guys have been, done internships and maybe have obviously down the line, but have done internships where, maybe they've got a contract with a company on the table for a job that's paying them, high 5, low 6 figures. I'll push you out the door to make that money, because you're now making more than I am. Like, I wouldn't want you to come back here for that fifth year. So
Right.
I think there's just so many different factors down the line that will even affect it too. But I think for us, just to get in guys' ears of, what does this look like for you? And then that could change, in the next week, next year, of how each guy sees it. But it just helps us projecting for our 21s, 22s, 23 class, even going forward, because, it's even over the last few weeks, the NCAA transfer portal is just blowing up in terms of numbers, because it's, if it doesn't work out at the institution you're at now, there's opportunities out there elsewhere. It's just trying to find out what makes sense for you in your whole process. And so that's what we've just been trying to help these guys navigate. And I think it's been we've had some really good conversations about that stuff with them individually. And now we want to start getting our academic athletic advisor and, in those conversations of, hey, this is what his aspirations are academically. How can we put him in the best position, to do that going forward in these next 2 years? So building those plans, I think it's been great. It's just, making sure that these guys are informed as they can be.
Right. I mean, those are underclassmen thinking about planning in a whole different way now, right? Like,
absolutely. Well, you think everybody that comes out of high school, you have to have your major decided in 2 years. Well, do you even know what you want to do, coming out of high school? And now we're asking our current freshmen who maybe already had a redshirt opportunity under their belt, so now an extra year on top of that, hey, what do you want to do in 5 years?
right.
Hey, I have no clue, coach. Like, I'm just trying to get through my homework today.
Sure.
Good. So I think it's, I think my best advice I'll give to some of these guys is just to be myopic, and that's, short-sighted right now. It's obviously focus on the stuff you need to accomplish with the academics right now. But once this is all blown over, having these candid conversations with your parents about what this could look like in 4 or 5 years. If you have the opportunity to get your MBA, what does that look like? If it's, hey, I want to be a doctor. All right, well, how can we put you in the best position to maybe utilize that somewhere else? It's every case is different, but we just want to make sure that these guys have as much information at their disposal as we can give them.
Sure. I mean, with the 2020 class, specifically the high school 2020 class, the guys kind of entering next year, what impact do you see that having on those guys? Does this kind of put them further down the ladder or not really? I mean,
no, I think, I think the good thing with, the 2020s and 2021s that at least that we have committed, and it's, it could be different program to program, but, there's obviously all those, agreements in place with those guys, in terms of whatever packages they are getting. But it's been good because, we made those commitments before this whole situation started, but now, it's honoring those and then figuring out how that all works. We want to make sure that, we're just making those guys feel as welcome as they can be, because, I'm putting myself in their shoes. This has got to be absolutely nerve-wracking, just figuring out, all right, well, am I going to be able to attend school in the fall? What are all the different things going on? And so it's different state to state, region to region, town to town, county to county, whatever that is, how this is all going to blow over. But we're just trying to, much like our guys on the team, just stay in touch with them and just say, hey man, we really care about you. We're excited to get you on campus, and just keeping in touch with those guys.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's tremendously insightful. What are some of the things that high school 21s and 22s should be doing right now if they haven't found a home at the next level and they have that desire to play, what are their controllables? How do you approach that?
I think the biggest thing is the preparation right now. It's it's unfortunate that for a lot of those guys, the junior and sophomore seasons are really crucial just for getting eyes on stuff. But I think it's making sure that they're staying in shape. That's obviously a big one right now because, even talking with our strength coach on the other day, he had a conversation with us just talking about obviously the science behind everything. And he said, you're at most for risk to injury and things like that, for not working out, I think after 2 weeks or something like that. So right after 2 weeks is when that threshold starts. So it's like, all right, I'll take a little time off. Stay in shape, whether it's 20 minutes a day, getting on a jump rope, going out and doing some footwork in the yard, whatever that is, just maximizing what you can in the space you have available. And so I would say that most specifically. And then really everybody's got nothing but time right now. And as coaches, we're all on our computers. So sending emails and just having that correspondence, whether it's, once a week, once every 4 or 5 days, obviously we can't have those recruiting conversations with 22s and 23s, the Division I level, but Divisions 2 and 3, a little bit more lenient. So you can have those. And I think just making it as personal as possible. It's easy to go on a recruiting platform or, just a mass blind copy email and just say, hey, coach, coach, I am excited to attend your university. In some cases, we can tell if those are mass emails or not. So we want to make sure that, right now is the best time to start researching. All right, well, what possibly are the schools that are the best fit for me? How can I start, initiating these conversations of, whether it's physical therapy, a really good pre-med program or a great business program with opportunities for, a master's degree down the line, if that's something you want to pursue. All right, well, how do I start narrowing down this search and finding those things that really mean a lot to me as a student athlete, as opposed to just blanket, throwing out a wide net and then seeing what comes back. And so, it's good to just get that information out there. And so then we as coaches can watch the highlight film, start doing our due diligence of talking to, your high school coaches, club coaches, everybody under the sun that knows you. So now we can start, kind of paring things back and figuring out who we want to pursue once that September 1st deadline comes.
Right. When it comes to a player's highlight film, what are some of the do's and don'ts? Again, we've heard a wide range, so it'll be interesting to get your take on what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing.
Yeah, I think in terms of time, I would say anywhere from 3 to 5, 4 to 6 minutes was pretty average. I would say anything more than that is just a little bit too much, because for myself as a coach, at least, I'm usually watching the first couple minutes, just to try and start understanding, all right, what skill set do they have, offensively, defensively? Are they, I guess the values and things that I kind of hold dearest, like defensively, well, how are they on ball? What are they doing off ball, to try and make themselves a threat or really be a good teammate? Offensively, are they, how do they shoot the ball? What's their mechanics? Do they have really good footwork and, generate separation moves and, things of that nature? But when it comes more specifically, I'd say, I would say including as much information as you can. So your email, phone number, club coach information and contact, high school coach information and contact, any academic information. And obviously we would verify that down the line. But, I think those are really I guess the flash ones that really pop into your mind very quickly in terms of just that information. So then we're able to enter that information in from the highlight tape. But I would say that in length, 3 to 5, 4 to 6 minutes. And then for don'ts, I'm all for some visual effects, but if you got like laser beams and explosions every time
coming out of their eyeballs,
Yeah, like, or like I like the one, I like the ones where like it kind of tracks wherever that player is. Okay, those are good. But when it's a slow-mo replay or like a quick rewind and replay, like I can do that myself. I just need to be able to watch this thing. But, I would say that's a big one. And then really whenever it comes to highlight tapes, put it against your strongest competition. I think we're, all coaches are very insightful in determining, all right, well, is this person shooting on a goalie that's never really played goalie before? Or are they, is this a defenseman who just can't really defend you that well, showing it against your best competition. So now we can at least say, all right, they have all the qualities that we like, and they're going up against really good competition. Okay, maybe this is someone that we want to pursue, as opposed to, throwing it around the world goal, and, no one's even 20 feet from you. It's like, all right, well, what are we doing? So, yeah. So I would say those are the biggest ones I would say for do's and don'ts.
That's excellent. Tremendous insight as always. This is why we're doing it, because everybody has a different take, and there's similarities and there's differences. The rewind has been a big no-no. The freeze frame, the re-highlight has been a no dice.
Yeah, slow-mo. Coach is not down with the slow-mo either.
I've seen the super slow-mo sometimes, and it's taken like 15 seconds to get through the clip, and I'm like, oh, come on now.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Next.
But it was sick. Okay.
Yeah, but it was that sweet though. It was that sweet.
Yeah. Kyle, anything else you'd like to glean from this interview with Coach Capron?
Yes, there is actually. One of the things we're working on over here, the Stickstar World headquarters, which is a little less decentralized now in these current times, is the appropriate viewing list. Keyword appropriate movie watching list for the Stickstar players, classics that, maybe this generation just isn't privy to.
Okay.
That are acceptable by mother and father.
Acceptable by mother and father. Well, I got to say, I've always been a fan of like the action adventure movies. And so my fiance and I watch all the Indiana Jones movies. I think those are absolute classics. If you guys have never seen those, National Treasure is one that I would always put up there. Everybody has their opinions on Nick Cage as an actor, but I think it's an absolute classic of a movie. Personally, I don't know how appropriate, but The Big Lebowski is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's a cult classic, so everybody may have their reservations about that, but I would say those ones, the action adventure ones, just something to kind of, whether it's a little escape from reality, get the mind racing a little bit for different stuff. But yeah, I always love those kinds of movies.
Yeah, The Big Lebowski is definitely a great comedy. We're going to want to run that disclaimer through the parents filter first.
Yes.
Before just sitting down and diving right into that with the family. But I can go.
And we're going to judge the parents, right? That's when they start to jump into our criteria, is what their thoughts are on The Big Lebowski, because that's we don't make cuts here over at Stickstar, right? So depending on how you go on Big Lebowski, you might cut yourself.
Yeah, that's the disclaimer. It's completely subjective, however you want to take it. But yeah, that was always one of my favorite movies.
Calmer than you are, Nico. Calmer than you are.
All right, the rug really tied the room together, man.
Ultimately, it's really just like your opinion, man.
Yeah.
That's right.
Like your opinion, man.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, so many movies, so little time. I would agree with the Indiana Jones. I mean, I don't know about the Crystal Skull. That's where Indiana Jones kind of started to become Harrison Ford Jones.
The first three, if you can get, the first three are absolute classics. Especially Sean Connery in The Last Crusade. I thought that was a great addition there.
Yeah.
Those, I mean, it's the thing of all the, obviously everybody loves Star Wars. So if you can get into the Star Wars and maybe watch those, it's just the sci-fi action adventure. It's just a little something different, instead of the reality TV shows or Tiger King or whatever, whatever everybody's been watching lately. Just a little something different.
Well, we've mowed through Frozen 2 almost about 45 times over here with the 17-month-old. She's we started that on quarantine, and we've been steady dose of that, but I think that my wife has now gone to we're trying to segue into Mary Poppins, right? So we're trying to take it all the way back. So it's
that just comes with the territory. I tell you what, we my fiance and I actually downloaded Disney Plus like a week or two ago. And I think the first couple of days we were like, all right, let's just go for straight up nostalgia. Movies we haven't seen in years and years and years. And so we were watching, I think, Sword in the Stone, Black Cauldron, Peter Pan, all the Disney classics of really just ones I hadn't seen in forever. For other kids' movies, Hook I thought was a great one with Robin Williams, that all-time classic. That Mrs. Doubtfire. I think now we're opening up Pandora's box now.
No, this is what we're looking for. This is good. These are great. We've got you on a roll. Keep going.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I would say Hook, Mrs. Doubtfire is an all-time classic. Jack, that was another Robin Williams one.
Yeah.
I mean, I always really liked Robin Williams when I was growing up, and I thought it was just a very big part of my formative years. So he's got a really good list of movies.
Yeah.
Were you a Mighty Ducks guy, or were you a little behind Mighty Ducks? It's right in my wheelhouse. 2nd, 3rd grade, somewhere in there.
Yeah, Mighty Ducks was when I was growing up. I remember, Gordon Bombay, Charlie Conway, Bash Brothers.
Yeah.
That was a very good movie. The second or the third one where they did the international one where like they went against Trinidad and Tobago or something. It was like, oh, okay. I think we're getting a little off the rails here, but
there's only so much material for a Mighty Duck.
There is. There is. Trinidad and Tobago, one of the all-time hockey jerseys.
That's right. That's awesome. Well, gentlemen, I think that was, again, very insightful, very granular. We learned a lot. I'm wondering if one of your newfound hobbies might also be the mustache, right? I don't want to let us go through this without mentioning the quarantine stash. Talk to us about it.
This is one of the major accomplishments. I felt like once the quarantine started, I'm like, all right, I'll let the facial hair grow out a little bit, trimmed it up, and then I don't know if Kyle was on when I showed you this, but the other day we had our athletic department meeting, and one of the guys says, well, you kind of look like Aaron Rodgers. So I got
that is just too good.
He's not wrong.
Threw that up. But, it's my hair's actually matted down right now, but it's kind of like a cross between Aaron Rodgers and Marv from the Wet Bandits and Home Alone. My hair just gets so wild now. So my fiance is actually, while we've been talking in here, has been researching ways to cut hair on YouTube. So I'm gonna give her a shot. She may be my new barber if she does well enough. So we just gotta tame this mane, and it's just been it's been a great talking point for some of these conversations. But it's just
you just need to link up with Coach Carson, right? Get his wife on, right? Because she has been doing a tremendous job. We just had this conversation with him not an hour ago about his quarantine hair cutting. And so maybe they have some tips that they can share,
I gotta see, because we're gonna bust out the clippers here soon enough. I think she might have them charging, so we gotta get the sides down a bit, because my hair doesn't grow down, it grows out. So if I can get it somewhat close to the scalp, I think we're good. That's all right. First time for everything. She's getting out of her comfort zone with some stuff too. So maybe this is going to be a hobby of hers going forward. That's what I'm hoping for.
The quarantine
is going to be great.
Yeah. This is real life that we're talking about here, folks. This is the new reality, the new normal. Yeah.
It's been wild, but it's, I think without all you can do right now is just try and make the best of it. And so at the end of the day, I've just have fun every day, do something a little bit different. I feel like if you get stuck in that kind of hamster wheel of doing the same routine every single day, that's where you just kind of get bogged down. But, whether it's getting out in the car and maybe walking around the neighborhood with a mask on or whatever, the regulations are where you are, but just trying to challenge yourself a little bit differently every day and do something different. I think that's what's going to keep everybody's spirits high throughout this whole thing.
Right. Well, Coach, we really appreciate it. It was great as always. We'll do this again. For Kyle Saunders and Coach Nico Capron at St. Bonaventure University, on the Southern Tier. I'm Anthony Crimmins, and we'll see y'all real soon.
Guys, thank you so much for doing this. Much appreciated.
Space show, quarantine time, excellent.